Good evening. I call this meeting of the Greenbelt City Council to order. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Recording in progress.
So I'll say it again. I call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Good evening. Councilmember Fritz,
Present.
Councilmember Niesel,
Here.
Councilmember McKinney,
Here.
Councilmember Pompey,
Here.
Councilmember Pope,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Weaver,
Here.
Mayor Jordan.
I'm here. So please join us in a moment of silent reflection as we pause to remember several residents and others who have passed away since the last council meeting. They include resident Becky Steele, David Lang, former residents Philip Lyle Gus Tolbert, Grace Wilhot Tomatini, and also Greenbelt Concert Band conductor Tom Cherix. Please join us in a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. Thank you. Now for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mayor Pro Tem, would you like to share the community pledge?
Certainly. The strength of Greenbelt is diverse people living together in a spirit of cooperation. We celebrate all people. By sharing together, all are enriched. We strive to be a respectful, welcoming community that is open, accessible, safe, and fair.
Well, thank you so much. And let me share this. Council holds meetings or work sessions on Mondays and Wednesdays several times a month to exchange information with community stakeholders, gather information from staff, advisory boards, residents, and with the council meetings to actually take action. Tonight's session is open to the public, as are all council sessions and meetings, except for executive sessions as authorized by state law. Residents can observe our deliberations, and we'll pause periodically to provide opportunities for public input. If you wish to speak at one of those designated times, if you're in person, just raise your hand and wait to be recognized. After you're recognized, you can go to the podium, and you'll need to state your name and your address for the record. If you are participating on Zoom, you can use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen to submit a written question, or you can raise your virtual hand, and after being recognized, we'll promote you. Once again, you'll need to state your name and an address. We don't accept anonymous comments online. And if you're watching on cable TV or on Zoom, or not on Zoom, on cable TV or YouTube, just send an email to us. The email address is questions@greenbeltmd.gov. So during these times for public comment in the meeting agenda, limit your remarks to 3 minutes, and it's 5 minutes during petitions and requests. And address only the topic under consideration. We ask that you remain civil and avoid disparaging others or questioning their motives. So that's actually going to bring us to petitions and requests. Individuals wishing to request action from the city may submit petitions or requests to the city manager or city council, either in writing or by speaking at a council meeting for up to 5 minutes. Council will hear these petitions, but we do not make immediate decisions during the meeting. After a petition is presented, council may refer the matter to city staff for resolution, or we may refer it to an advisory board and request further investigation or add it to a future meeting agenda. So updates on the status of all petitions are posted on the city's website for public information. So at this time, let's pause for petitions and requests. Are there any petitions or requests? Yes, sir, please.
Hi, my name is Frank Gervasi. I live at
163 Research Road. My petition is for a National New Deal Heritage Center at the existing Armory site. We are in an auspicious time and place. Our nation is focused on the meaning of democracy as never before. Greenbelt is the crown jewel of the over 100 communities built during the 1930s New Deal. The first garden community in the land, built for the uplift of the human spirit, is what Eleanor Roosevelt called this town. How progressive and idealistic is that? Our country now, maybe more than ever, needs to know that government exists for the people and not the other way around. We need to educate our fellow Americans to the amazing progress made by Franklin Roosevelt and the New Deal. Social Security was enacted then. They solved an enormous environmental catastrophe, the Dust Bowl. Renewable electric power generated by 19 Tennessee Valley dams along with the Hoover, Grand Coulee, and others, produced 25% of the country's electric use by 1941. Bad government might have done that with coal. Almost all of these hydro plants still operate today. They built thousands of projects, like 29,000 new bridges all around the U.S. Art, music, and culture were supported as at no other time in our history. The New Deal lasted until 1942, and FDR's arsenal of democracy it created was essential to defeating the dictatorships of World War II. Developing New Deal-style programs like Medicare and Medicaid persisted well into the 1960s and beyond. Franklin Roosevelt said he wasn't concerned with those who had plenty, but with those that didn't have enough. His idealistic leadership proved that. Fundamentally, the government that gave us our town strove to help people and not hurt them. Greenbelt is the perfect location for a National New Deal Heritage Center. The Armory is the perfect building for this purpose. Easily accessible from two major highways, 20 minutes from the Capitol. It would house a visitor center for people wanting to learn more about that extraordinary time in our living history. They would be drawn into town, helping us economically. We are asking the City Council to endorse this idea. Our first step would be to solicit grant money from the county to develop a plan, create a virtual 3D design of what it could look like, start advertising nationally, and put up a big sign, future home of. Our mission in establishing a New Deal Heritage Center is to honor and demonstrate Roosevelt's vision and deeds of fostering a society where life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is available to all. That's my speech. Does anybody have any questions or
No, very good. Thank you. Thank
reactions?
you. We'll, log your request, read through it, refer it to the city manager for to research. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. I turned in a petition, about 54 signatures or something on my petition. It's Benita has it, so thank you.
Very good. Very thoughtful. Thank you.
That-
So, ma'am,
You're going to have to talk to him later. Yeah.
Okay, all right, no problem. Thanks.
okay.
You can go talk to him.
Are there any other petitions or requests? Let's see. I think I see Mr. Orleans back there.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. At the last regular meeting, I requested a further exposition of the discussions held in closed session about the proposed annexations. I've received nothing in response to that request yet. I see that of the three most recent executive sessions, there is a agenda reference tonight to them having occurred. At least one of them appears to be maybe related to proposed annexation. And I see that there's another proposed closed session after the conclusion of tonight's regular meeting. which could also involve proposed annexation. The request, in case the city manager didn't hear me last regular meeting, or council, which could have forwarded me this further exposition if it's been done, is that I'm asking again for what I asked for at the last regular meeting. And if indeed one of the closed sessions referenced in tonight's agenda for approval concern annexation, or if the later closed session scheduled for later tonight would have to do with annexation, then I would request further exposition of those two meetings as well. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Are there any other petitions or requests? Yes, Mr. Samaron.
Mr. Mayor, it's not a practice to respond to petitions or requests, but I think the meeting notice for the executive session does not include real estate or related matters as annexation will fall under. And Mr. Orleans, I do have a letter for you. I'm having legal review it to your last petition request, so I hope to have that to you by the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other petitions or requests? I'm not seeing any other ones. So as I said earlier, we log any and all petitions and requests. We refer them to the city manager and advisory board. Sometimes they're based on that. They're placed on a future agenda. So we take these petitions and requests very, very seriously. At this time, let's go ahead and move on to the next section of the agenda, which would be the consent agenda. So I'm wondering if council members, if any of you have any modifications to the consent agenda? And if there are none, could I please have a motion to adopt the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mayor Pro Tem has seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries unanimously. And that's going to bring us to the agenda. Are there any modifications to the agenda? I don't have any modifications. I did tell, I have I have to travel at 11 o'clock. So I'd like to ask your indulgence as we move through this agenda to do so, when possible, expeditiously, if that's okay. But I'm not going to modify the agenda in any way. So could I please have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Councilmember Niesel has seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Thank you so much. Thank you. And that's going to bring us now to the next section of the agenda, which is communications. And I have a proclamation. The city of Greenbelt is proud to recognize March as Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. And this is a cause that saves lives through early detection and community education. It's my pleasure to present this proclamation tonight. I plan to present it to Dr. Ife Nakamura, who is the Executive Director of the African Women's Cancer Awareness Association. I don't know if she has a designee here. I don't see anyone here. But I'll go ahead and present the proclamation. Here we go. Whereas colorectal cancer is the third leading cause of cancer deaths in the U.S. among men and women combined, and whereas 1 in 25 men and 1 in 26 women will be diagnosed with colorectal cancer in their lifetime, and whereas this year, the 2026 theme for this month is Uniting for Equity Across the CRC Continuum, emphasizing equity, screening access, proactive health, and focusing on closing screening gaps and reducing disparities. And whereas it is critical that all people of all ages know the signs and symptoms of the disease, and whereas observing Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month during the month of March provides a special opportunity to offer education on the importance of early detection and screening now. Therefore, I, Emmett D. Jordan, by the authority vested in me by the residents and City Council of Greenbelt, do hereby proclaim the month of March designated as Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month and in Greenbelt, and urge all residents to learn more about this disease and to take advantage of local screening opportunities. So, this is a very important month. And certainly, taking care of our health is essential to getting things done. So, I did this and wanted to heighten awareness about screening opportunities. The African Women's Cancer Awareness Association does great work. They're located here in Greenbelt for men and women. Doctors Hospital, Luminous Hospital, also has screenings on a regular basis. So I hope that everyone is taking care of themselves and remembers how important it is to get screened for cancer. Yes.
Would you mind? I just wanted to point out, I heard a statistic this week that says now that colorectal cancer is the leading cause of cancer deaths for people under the age of 50. So it is now even more important, especially for people that are even younger, to get screened. My father is a colorectal cancer survivor, and we would not have known, and he got it checked and seen much in advance, and now is, thriving. But the importance of getting it screened is definitely near and dear to my heart. So I hope and encourage everybody to go and do that.
Thank you for weighing in on that. So at this time, we're going to move on to the next section of the agenda. It's a presentation. And what do you think we're going to be talking about? The proposed fiscal year 2027 city budget. So the city manager is going to, for the first time, unveil the proposed budget for the next year, beginning July the 1st, 2026, and ending June 30th, 2027. It's a challenging time in the country right now, in the county and in the city of Greenbelt. So to produce a balanced budget is even more challenging than it's been in the past. So at this time, I'm going to turn the microphone and the agenda over to the city manager. Mr. Samarone, how are you?
I'm well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good
Little-
evening, council. Good
Little
evening,
sleepy,
residents.
perhaps, from all this work on
It's sleepy. It's been challenging. There are things in our budget that have kept me up. Things that are happening in our city and our state, our country, and the world. So there are a lot of things to be concerned about. But if there's one thing that's been true about our country, our people, is that we have overcome worse. So no matter what situation is, this too shall pass, and we should succeed and thrive after. So we have to remain optimistic, and it is with that optimism and forward thinking that I present a balanced budget to council again. Not just because, thank you, Mr. Hartman. Obviously, we want to be good stewards of taxpayer money, and it's our legal obligation to present a balanced budget to council. To deliver a balanced budget, it does mean we have to make difficult decisions. But before getting into those difficult decisions, I want to thank my team, because none of this would be possible without them. All what we accomplish together. And this budget is a reflection of that, not just the city staff, but primarily city staff, because they're the front lines, often they're providing exceptional service day in and day out to our residents, followed by our department directors, and then the internal administrative team that makes this budget, what is a chaotic process, look very pretty. So we've got the presentations in front of you, and we are releasing the proposed budget book. And the team selected this beautiful picture. The sculpture is titled Joy. I encourage you all to visit it. It's outside of Braden Fields out there, and it's play-friendly for kids. I've heard commentary a kid or two has been able to climb the sculpture. So Our team does a wonderful job day in and day out, so this wouldn't be possible without them. Then I would like to recognize our senior leadership team that really are looking at all the cents and dollars to make this work. So Mr. Ron Covington, our city treasurer, who's been since day one, he's had a lot to take on. As you know, we've had a transition in our city treasurer, and Mr. Covington, thank you so much for your relentless work to not only lead finance but also help us deliver a balanced budget. Our assistant city manager, Tim George. James, who is not in the room, James is our PO, or he's been newly appointed or formal and permanent public information officer. So James not in the room, but I want to congratulate James. And it's James. James was the idea started with him to redesign our budget books. We went from what used to be a burdensome process using Microsoft Publisher. If you can believe it, yes, 3 years ago we were using Publisher to put together the budget. And it was his idea to transition us to InDesign and SharePoint. It makes the process much easier and just neater process. And obviously our city clerks and the rest of the team. But more importantly, council, thank you for your support in our vision to deliver exceptional service to our residents. And finally, our residents, this would not be possible without you. This is your money, and we want it to work for you. So thank you for your support, and we welcome feedback. And I love seeing so many people in the audience tonight, because this is perhaps the most important thing that we do as a city, is crafting this budget. All right, Mr. Mayor, I know you are on a tight deadline, so I'll just jump right into it. So we'll review our foundational pillars, our city council goals, key influences of the budget, our 2027 budget highlights, and the budget focused areas. On the foundational pillar, later in the meeting, we will talk about council's framework, and I welcome the opportunity to consolidate the proposed pillars for council and our pillars, because ultimately for many years we've been trying to create this synergy to get us to a strategic plan. And we need plans to execute. And so I think I look forward to that conversation. Having developed the budget books over the last 2 years and implementing strategic goals and objectives have yielded a ton of outstanding results for us. You can see it throughout the city, not just on capital projects, but also on programming that we've been able to create and continue to execute well. So that all starts with an idea that gets turned into a plan, and then that plan gets executed. So I look forward to that conversation. I am a strong believer that everything we do is in alignment with city council and our residents' desires. We consider our residents' feedback and their desires for a thriving community as the center of our budget. And I hope that is reflected. So I'll just jump right in on what those pillars are. One of the things that I heard throughout my meetings with residents and the senior leadership team as I became a manager was this drive for exceptional service. So in year one, when we were looking to develop what are the guiding principles for our team, we knew that exceptional service had to be at the top of it. Whatever we do, whatever we get engaged in, we want to do it well. We want to do it exceptionally. We want to do it better than anyone else. And that's why that is a leading guiding principle, to deliver exceptional service. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, we look to incorporate the DEI studies. This was a priority for council, and we've done that. And that's a multi-layer approach. It's not just the diversity, equity, and inclusion. It looks different for different departments. And one of the things we heard from staff was compensation. And this budget supports the compensation study that was implemented in fiscal year 2024. Not only to support that compensation study, but it keeps up with market conditions. It fully funds a 2% cost of living increase for everyone on the organization. And when I mean everyone, I'm just not talking about the full-time staff, but it also includes part-time staff. This is a commitment we made early on in my tenure, and we continue to maintain that, because cost of living goes up, not just for the full-time employees, but also for the part-time employees. Collaboration and partnership. You've heard me say this many times, and there isn't anything that we accomplish alone. We do it together, and having strong partnerships, not just within our government, but our sister municipalities, the county, and the state is essential to achieving outcomes for our residents. Preparedness and resiliency. We can't always anticipate what will happen, but we can prepare and plan for it. And that's a lot of the planning that we do in-house. We plan for just about every scenario, and I hope you've been able to see that preparation when we did the renovations at the pool. That was a multifaceted project that we needed to coordinate, not just DPI and their inspectors, but also our construction vendors, our residents, and our staff, because there's a lot of programming that our residents depend on, and I felt that we were very successful. I'm not aware of complaints to council on that execution. Sustainability, that's a foundational pillar for us, and we've been able to deliver big wins for the city. Just last calendar year, we were able to, or our partner turned on a 2-megawatt solar system, and I think the timing couldn't be better. As we're seeing supply costs for electricity exceed 13 cents, we have a nice contract that's about almost half of that. And so that's going to offset electricity costs, rising electricity costs in our facilities, and we have grant applications out for systems that exceed 400 kilowatt systems for the youth center roof and Greenridge House. So if successful, that's going to offset at least another 10% of the city's overall electricity consumption. And smart and economic growth. We are in a constrained environment. We're fully built, so we got to think of economic development in smart ways. And we have, in this last fiscal year, we developed a strategic plan, strategic plan that we will be executing, that we're executing in the current year, but years to come. All right, so we're driven by our council outcome areas, and I know this may change for the upcoming year, and I look forward to working with council on that endeavor. But what's guiding us for this budget process, and I think whatever we come out to will still incorporate all of these focus areas. And those focus areas are enhancing our sense of community, ensuring sustainable economic development, improving transportation opportunities, maintaining Greenbelt as an environmentally proactive community, improving and enhancing public safety, promoting quality of life, health, and well-being for our residents, maintaining and investing in infrastructure, supporting equity and inclusion within Greenbelt. So now on to the key budget influence. I made a reference to a compensation study driving this budget, and that is the number one key influence from a monetary perspective. Those are financial obligations that we must meet because these are employees, and 2% and 3% are part of our core budget expense. Layered onto that is the expense of a 4-year collective bargaining agreement. So this budget fully implements year 2 of a 4-year contract. And as a reminder, these are reoccurring costs. So these are long-term liabilities that we'll carry for years. So they're not one time. They increase the cost basis of our personnel costs. In a nutshell, that's a 2% COLA and 3% merit increases. So in addition to the comp study paying fair wages, the adjustment to scale for the police sworn officers, all staff is getting a 2% COLA and is eligible for up to 3% merit increase. A note to council that it's up to 3%. It is up to the employees whether they earn that 3% merit. We're funding capital projects, building capital reserves and replacements funds, and I have a slide specifically dedicated to each one of those items. We're working in a constrained fiscal conditions. That's federal policy impacting job and contract reductions, slow growth in real estate revenue, and we're also closing out ARPA funding. We will run out of ARPA funding this year. And there are a lot of initiatives that are priorities for staff, council, and the residents, and many we've tried funding them in this budget. And we have to some success, but there's also a constrained condition there. We no longer have access to $22 million of cash that we can use for numerous things. So that we no longer have that. Key influence, I made reference to vision, the council's vision and goals. This incorporates council's vision and goals. And finally, maintain the current high level of service delivery, public safety, and recreational amenities to our residents. At a glance, we are looking at an all-funds budget of $58,640,000. The breakout of that is 71.19% is our general fund, totaling $41,741,246. Our capital projects fund total $13,016,267. And our other funds is $3,886,599. The next slide focus solely on the general fund activities. We have revenues totaling $41,748,149 and expenses totaling $41,741,246. That leaves a net income of $6,903. Overall, our revenues are up 3.92%. Our expenses are up 3.96%. One of the things that I like about this chart and the GFOA, who is the body that reviews our budgets and provides us with budget presentation awards, likes this. One of the things they noted about this graphic is that in one snapshot, you can see all the money that's coming in, that's all of our revenues, and all the money that's going out, that's all of our expenses. And you can track revenues by categories, and you can track expenses by categories based on departments. And if you're wondering what the color coding on the right side means, that same color is carried throughout the budget book to make it easier for folks to follow which portion of the graph belongs to what department. So the purple is general government, followed by planning and community development. Public safety is the blue, and that's our single largest department at 34.41%. Followed by Public Works, which makes up 13.24% of a budget. CARES makes up 4.14% of the budget. Recreations is our second largest department at 21.46% of the budget. And then we have miscellaneous, non-departmental, and fund transfers. The FTE count, our total FTE count, which is full-time equivalents, is 235.5 employees. That is an increase of 1 FTE, and that increase is coming from our crisis intervention supervisor position. That is a position, it's not a new position, it was a position that has existed for many years. Last year, due to budget constraints, we allocated that position to ARPA funding. So that for fiscal year 2026, that position is funded through ARPA funding, but in 2027, we no longer have access to ARPA funding, so that is coming onto our general fund budget, which is why you're seeing that one FTE increase. So I made reference to the COLA, so I won't cover that, but the more on the crisis intervention supervisor, that's driving that total FTE count, one. There are other ARPA-funded positions that will remain on staff for the remainder of the calendar year as the budget allows. So all ARPA funding must be spent by no later than December 31st of 2026. So we will keep those positions staffed as long as the funding allow within the calendar year. So we expect the funding to run out before December of 2026. The increase overview, I'm presenting, they might sound redundant, but we typically present these in separate slides. So we're only increasing the budget by 1 FTE. By comparison, in 2026, the budget included a reduction of 13.2 FTEs from fiscal year 2025 into fiscal year 2026. So just for historical purposes, that the FTE count in the fiscal year 2025 was 247.7 positions. Also, for comparison, I included the list of positions that were not included in the positions that were unfunded in fiscal year 2026. I make reference to these because in an ideal world, if we had the funding, we would backfill these positions. A lot of these are essential for the work that we do, some more than others, but we continue to keep them on our radar because should economic conditions allow, we would like to restore some of these positions. Okay, so what's new in the budget? These are budget enhancements or new programs and initiatives. Things are not ongoing. So one of the things I heard loud and clear from council was that you wanted to see more funding for financial assistance for families. That is for classes and recreational programming. So we have fully funded recreation's request of $10,000 for that financial assistance. We have also funded the contractor cost of the Learn to Earn course. That is $10,000 a year for one cohort a year. We also have added additional funding for enhanced recreational activities. So that includes the COLA non-classified staff, the part-time and seasonal employees, funding for circus camps, and this addition is going to be offset by more families participating in circus camp. And we added additional money for field trips. Some of this is due to increasing costs of renting transportation vehicles and emission expense to field trips, but some of it will be an additional new field trips. And the seniors, I hope they're watching. We have fully funded the additional request of $5,000 for senior trips. So those things are in the budget. All right, now on to the sad news. There are things we just cannot fund at the moment without additional cuts. That is the stipends for Learn to Earn, totaling $32,000. These were expenditures previously funded by ARPA, and we just have not been able to identify a cut to be able to fund these. Staffing for Shram Hills Clubhouse and Fields. As you know, we now have a competition grade soccer fields, and there's a demand from residents to have open hours of the clubhouse and the fields. So we're actively exploring ways to staff the clubhouse at Shram Hills. And I would say that these things, while they're unfunded in this budget cycle, I look forward to working with council to seeing what adjustments we can make in the budget to fund some of these activities. And finally, on this list, and this is not a comprehensive list, these are things that are very visible initiatives that are worth exploring ways to funding. Finally, we were not able to fund the council grants and contribution miscellaneous account at $36,500. So that, just as a review, that's totaling $94,500. The replacement vehicles, next slide is the replacement fund. These are equipment requests that we receive from various departments that are essential to operations. And these are being funded and largely due to a reduction in our debt service. If you recall from past years, we have around $350,000 that we were paying for one bond, a bond that we have an outstanding debt, and that last payment for that bond would be in fiscal year 2027. So that generated some revenue for us to reallocate, and we're funding a large part of the replacement fund request for that. So the studio upgrades we need, we've learned a couple months ago that the cable casting software that we have back there is at its end of life. So right now it's limping along, and we need to do a full studio upgrade in addition to the sound and the cameras that we have ordered. So that may possibly cost us around $40,000. The police department need new laser speed guns. That's around $12,000. DPW needs replace aging heavy-duty trucks at $350 at $70,000. We need to replace a bucket truck at $175. Recreation needs a new lighting system for the stage at $10,000. The Public Works needs a mower, a zero-turn commercial-grade mower at a $15,775, and a Bobcat mini track lower at $49,000. So total replacement fund is $371,775. The capital projects, we're looking at a total of $5,331,800. I will note that the vast majority of this is grant-funded projects. So please don't be frightened. We're not spending $5 million of cash reserves for all this project. So these are predominantly being grant-funded. and also subject to funding availability. We have not heard back on some of these projects, so we're planning on them on the assumption that we are getting this funding. We have strong indication that they will come through. Braden Fields Light, Buddy Attic Master Plan implementation, bus stop safety and accessibility. This is the continuation of bus stop safety and improvements that were funded through ARPA. We have utilized ARPA funding, but that work is ongoing. So we continue to invest $20,000 and making improvements to our bus stops and safety and accessibility. The Cemetery Preservation Master Plan, the $10,000 is just our local match. We did receive a grant for that project, and we're near the conclusion of the project. And as we finalize that project, our payment will be due. So that's that small expense. Hanover Parkway off-road bicycle facility, miscellaneous concrete repairs, the Museum Visitor Center construction, pedestrian bicycle master plan, the Red Oak mitigation plan. This has been on our project list for a while. It's a funding program that's multi-year, so you'll see it in last year, and you'll see it this year. Hopefully, it will be done in 2027, and we won't continue that project. That's a good thing. Getting these projects off the list are a good thing. Shrum Hills Park lighting, the fields. We have a competition grade field. We have a demand from teams to use it, but it's only available during sunlight hours. So we're hopeful we'll get grant funding to install lighting. Spring Hill Lake Recreation Center expansion at $1.5 million. 2 weeks ago, council received this check from our federal delegation. This part of this check funds $250,000 of that Spring Hill Lake Recreation. We're actively pursuing an additional $1.5 million so that we can build those additions. And we also have storm drain repairs at $100,000, street resurfacing at $1 million. That's our capital improvement plan. We devote $1 million to road resurfacing. We like not having potholes on roads, and I think our residents appreciate having top-notch roads. So we continue to make that investment. And finally, the Vision Zero Action Plan at $243,000. This is grant funded. And we have received our grant agreement, so we've got an RFP out, or working RFP, and we'll be completing that project hopefully in 2027. Finally, building capital reserves. We have projects totaling $3,178,445. That includes our community center elevator, the community center wing 67. If you recall from one of the tours that we did, we have a separation in a wall of the community center that needs to be addressed. The Greenbelt Cinema repairs, that's a bond bill that we received, and we're working with the state and the historical trust to get approval for all of the things that a historical property needs approval for. And then the next two projects are related. The Green Ridge House solar roof, we're waiting on a notification from that grant application, along with the youth center solar roof. Together, that's almost $1 million. And then our youth center roof, the replacement of that is $1.5 million, and we have the funding for that project. That's in that check there. All right, so that concludes my short presentation. Again, I want to thank city staff, our department directors, Mr. Covington, our city treasurer, James Winieski, our public information officer, Tim George, assistant city manager, council, and residents. And I'll take your questions now.
Thank you, Mr. Summeron. Thank you to Tim George, to Ron Covington, and to department heads that work so hard in pulling this information together. Hey, we better get that check to the bank pretty soon before it bounces.
I take it to pay my taxes.
So, this budget process, council and the public will be, going through the budget with the goal of approving the budget on May the 26th. So it looks like we've got about, is that correct? May the 26th?
Yes, the 26th. And Mr. Mayor, may I interject with one more thing?
Yes, please.
This budget, it is a balanced budget, but there are a few contingencies that we must meet. We are introducing a new public utilities tax rate. This is something that the city does not currently have. Currently, we tax public utilities through our personal property tax rate, but other municipalities around us, including Berwyn Heights, Hyattsville, Mount Rainier, Bladensburg, they have a specific public utilities tax, and they start at $2.50 for every $100 of assessed value. We are proposing that we mirror what surrounding communities do, particularly Berwyn Heights, who's just across the street, and we implement our own public utility tax on all public utilities. That includes Pepco, Washington Gas, AT&T, Comcast, and so on.
That's good. That's something we've actually been discussing for a while. The idea came up, we brought it up, we're talking about it, and certainly we should be in lockstep with our neighboring jurisdictions. So I strongly support moving ahead with that. Bottom line on this budget, it's people that really, it's the people cost that make up the bulk of this budget. It's, you know, our employees, our valued employees, everything that they do in order to kind of keep up with the cost of living. Between the merit and the cost of living, it's about 5%. So one of the things that I've asked early on and continue to ask is, you know, as working with the departments and in councils, thinking somehow trying to find that 5% either with belt tightening or with new revenue. So I think it's going to take some creativity. It's going to take quite a bit of work, but I compliment you on what you've put together. It's a dynamic budget, and it mirrors so many of the things that are going on in our community. So with the handout and the budget information itself, it's a pretty big document. Look at the size of this thing. Whoa. How many pages is it?
106? 301, Mayor.
Okay, what's that one page?
The book includes several blank pages that are things that we need to fill in, such as council's letter, council's goals. So if you see pages that are intentionally blank, they're placeholders for important information that will go into those pages.
Yeah, very good, very good. And what I'm driving at is we're going to post the document online for people to read and to review as council is moving through section by section, department by department, through the budget. A question that always comes up is how can we keep the public aware of the various discussions that we've had, keeping sort of a running total of decisions that have been made. Of course, there are work sessions, and the final decision isn't actually made until the budget is adopted. But we've talked about this a bit. What's your proposal?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We heard from our residents and we heard from council. So at the conclusion of every work session, we will issue a summary of those work sessions and any proposed changes that come out of those work sessions. So that'll be something we'll not only just include in the council packet, but we will upload into our budget website. I have heard requests from our team that maybe I should read those summaries as well. So I'm not sure we're gonna make an audio tape of those summaries, but it is something that we've considered. But certainly the summaries, we'll draft summaries at the conclusion of every work session.
And finally, you know, a budget, it's a roadmap. So things change. So the revenue information that we're getting about revenue coming in from the state, from our businesses in town, and just in terms of new grants coming in that we've received, those will be reflected as we work through in the updates as well.
Yes. As we receive new information, we will update the budget book. So one of the contingencies that we budget in this budget is the abatements, the property tax abatements. We've seen a significant increase in the abatements that are being granted by the state. So we factor some of those increases in the 2027 budget. In the 26 budget, we did not budget as high as amount as what we're actually seeing being granted by the state. So we'll have to do some adjustments in fiscal year 2026 to be able to absorb those property tax abatements that have been granted by the state. And unfortunately, we don't have a voice at the table when these abatements are being provided. We get a report once a year, and this year we were nagging the state to get updated reports. So unfortunately, we don't have a say in them, but we're getting the reports once a year, and we're making financial decisions about them. Our next report is due to us in April, sometime mid to late April, just in time before our budget approval, so we'll have a better idea of what abatements will look like. Another big unknown is not big unknown, but there is some variability in our estimate is the income tax. We have seen significant reduction of jobs in the area, and we're not sure what that final income tax impact is going to be. So this budget accounts for about $4 million in income tax. We'll be reaching out to the comptrollers to get any estimates from the Board of Revenue to see what income tax impacts are happening in the state. One thing that the governor's budget made clear is that they're looking to make investments in the state that makes the state less reliant on federal jobs, which is a good strategy for a very long time. The state, Maryland is the second largest recipient of federal jobs, and we have a large concentration of our economy in federal government jobs.
So any adjustments from the current year, FY 2026, those would show up in the unassigned fund balance that you start off with in the budget. That's correct?
Yes. So net savings, the council in 2021 adopted a fiscal management policy that dictates what happens with net income at the end of the year. A percentage of it goes to the rainy day fund, percentage goes to the budget stabilization, and then capital reserves. So this budget incorporates $1,830,000 as a transfer in from cash reserves. And we're comfortable with utilizing that cash reserve. Well, ideally, we would rely less on cash reserve, but this year we have no option then to bring in $1.8 million of cash reserves to balance the budget. We're comfortable with that number in part because in 2025, we budgeted also a $1.8 million budget transfer, and we ended the year with net income of $800,000. So we utilized $1 million of cash reserves, so $800,000 less. Our unassigned cash reserves and general cash balances are tracking with the scenario 2 of the fiscal forecast that we presented last year as part of our budget book. So we've been mindful to steer the organization into that scenario 2, which has us extending the life of our cash reserve, essentially burning less cash in a shorter period of time. So as a reminder, that also has been updated for this fiscal year. So you'll see that 5-year forecast included in the budget.
Thank you very much. Any comments from council? Please, Mayor Pro Tem? Yeah, I see him. Yeah.
Well, I just was going to, because I forgot to suggest that it get included in tonight's packet, but in January, I'd put forward the proposal for we have the budget meetings already lined out for the next few months, but also the suggested deadlines to try to get worked ahead and allow staff enough time to answer those questions that we have about the budget sections ahead of time, as well as that would allow them to be in the packet for the public before each work session. So just that was, we passed that at the end of the second meeting in January, and I think we can recirculate that list. Doesn't mean that if additional questions come up during the work session, we can't answer them. But because of the schedule that we have a work session on Wednesday that's our legislative priorities update, but then because of PGCPS spring break and then Easter Monday, that gives council several evenings when we would normally have meetings or work sessions that to start getting ahead on the budget and getting that timeline and getting these questions and read ahead so that so staff can be prepared, so we can be, I think that makes it more transparent, easier for staff, but also more transparent for our residents if those things go in the packet ahead of time. So I just wanted to mention that we can recirculate that list that we passed at the end of January.
Are there any other comments from council? Yes, Mr. Orleans. Oh, I'm sorry, I did not see your hand. Please. Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that there will be written summaries of each work sessions as we proceed, and I would hope that would include a running tally of changes in the numbers as we proceed. I heard something tonight, though, that I don't understand. The city manager said that state grants the abatements and we have nothing, there's nothing that we can do about it. Effectively, that's what he said. And I continue to believe that's incorrect. We have the benefit of our newest member of council who has done work in Montgomery County, but going back to Ike Leggett and presumably preceding his tenure as county executive, Montgomery County Council funded an office in the executive's office specifically to review all requests for abatements. They are requests. The state doesn't just grant them because it wants to. It's been such a generous state in the past. Property owners make a request, and those requests can be challenged if the jurisdiction chooses to do so. The difference between Montgomery County and Prince George's County is not such that if a municipality in Prince George's County, if not in the past the county itself, if a municipality wanted to challenge these abatements, require validity in the property owner's request, it could do so. And this has been an ongoing question before Greenbelt Council for at least, I don't know, many years. And I would like to think that the city manager's assertion that there's nothing that the city of Greenbelt can do about any property owner's request for an abatement be reviewed and checked and, of course, reported back to us as verifiably accurate or not. But more importantly, I would like to see, since I believe it is inaccurate, I would like the city of Greenbelt to challenge each and every request for an abatement. And if the request is legitimate, then let's pay them back out of Greenbelt taxpayers' money. But if it's not, Greenbelt taxpayers should not have that burden.
Thank you very much. Are there any other, Councilmember Fritz, please?
Yes. So thank you. It's a very good overview. I was excited to see the CIT position funded in the budget. I think that's a really important workflow that we need to support. My question is, and that doesn't need an answer tonight, but I would like to know the formula by which we get income tax share. Because it's a little amorphous to me, because my understanding is it's a piggyback off of the state's tax rate. So, they came up with a very round number this year of $4 million, which strikes me as maybe not the most scientific estimate, but I would just be curious how that number is calculated. What is the revenue share, so that we can explain to our residents, this is how much of your property tax bill goes to local services. This is how much of your income tax bill goes to local services. So that I think we can make the numbers a little more real for folks. So that would be my only question is, what is the funding formula for that?
We will get that formula for you.
Okay, thank you very much. So once again, Mr. Cimarron, thank you for all of your good work on this. Thanks Ron Covington, to Tim George, to James Winifsky, to the department heads, and looking forward to having a very real discussion about what we can do moving forward. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And Councilmember Fritz, I'll jump in on the why the 4 million, and because part of it is driven by actuals for us. In fiscal year 2025, we collected a total of $4,215,105.41 in income taxes. We're currently trending to lower than that, so we're a little over half the year, and we've collected $1,285,065.42. So we're not in the way the taxes work. We get the quarterly distributions, and then we see a bump in April. So we're mindful of what the trending is showing, and we're also mindful of what we're hearing, the general economic news.
Thank you very much. Let's move on to the next section of the agenda. I don't have my glasses on. Is that you, Mrs. Dr. Could you, I've already presented the proclamation. Let me hand it to you. And if you would like to say a couple of words about what you're doing.
Well, would you like to present it and we'll take the photo?
No,
and-
yeah.
Should I read it again?
It's not that long.
Okay, why don't you come up? So this is a proclamation, whereas colorectal cancer is the third leading cause of cancer deaths in the U.S. among men and women combined, and whereas 1 in 25 men and 1 in 26 women will be diagnosed with colorectal cancer in their lifetimes, and whereas this year the 2026 theme is Uniting for Equity Across the CRC Continuum, emphasizes equity, screening access, proactive health, and focuses on closing screening gaps and reducing disparities. And whereas it is critical that all people of all ages know the signs and symptoms of the disease, and whereas observing a colorectal cancer awareness month during the month of March provides a special opportunity to offer education on the importance of early detection and screening. Now, therefore, I, Emmett V. Jordan, by the authority vested in me by the residents and City Council of Greenbelt, do hereby proclaim the month of March designated as Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month in Greenbelt, and urge all residents to learn more about this disease and take advantage of local screening opportunities. I'd like to present this to you. And if you have a moment, you're welcome to step to the podium and say a couple of words about the good work you've been doing in Greenbelt and throughout the region. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to recognize the Greenbelt City Council for the good work you do. I do know that each year when we have the community health fair, the mayor is always present. So we recognize that and we thank you all for the good work you do, caring for the citizens of Greenbelt. The good news is that with colorectal cancer, a lot is being done and we're seeing some progress. The screening rate at this time is 74.7%, which is good because that's higher than the Maryland state percentage for screening. Incidentally, there's more death rate among Black males. So a lot of work is being done to continue with education, continue with screening, and making sure that the community stays healthy. As we know, cancer is not the best, regardless of which cancer, breast, colorectal, but so much is being done, a lot of clinical trials going on to continue to improve the health and improve good results. So thank you everyone for what you do. And on behalf of all those who are going through the journey, I receive this on their behalf, and we hope that the good work continues. So thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Before you go, could you give your organization's website and the address in Greenbelt on Edmonston Road?
We're proud to say that we're right here at 8955 Edmonston Road. We've been there for over 12, 13 years. And the phone number to reach us is 301-565-0420. Also, the website will be awcaa.org. The name of the organization is African Women's Cancer Awareness Association. And we're happy to serve the residents of PG County, but Greenbelt in particular. So thank you again.
So at this time, we're going to move on to the next item on the agenda, which is a statement. It's a
Yeah, I've got a few of these to do.
statement of closed sessions.
Yep.
Mayor Pro Tem.
In accordance with the General Provisions Article, Section 3-06C2 of the Annotated Code of the Public General Laws of Maryland, I move that the minutes of tonight's meeting reflect that the council met in closed session on Friday, March 6, 2026 at 5:35 p.m. via Zoom. Council held this closed session in accordance with Section 3-305 3 and 7 of the General Provisions Article of the Annotated Code of the Public General Laws of Maryland. 1, to consider the acquisition of real property for a public purpose and matters directly related thereto, and 2, to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice on a legal matter. The purpose of this meeting was to consider the acquisition of real property for a public purpose and matters directly related thereto, and to consult with counsel on a legal matter. Voting to close the session, Councilmember Fritz, yes. Councilmember Niesel, yes. Councilmember McKinney was absent for the vote, but came later. Councilmember Pompey, yes. Councilmember Pope, also absent for the vote, came later. Mayor Pro Tem Weaver, yes. Mayor Jordan, yes. Staff members present: Josue Samaron, City Manager; Terry Ruby, Director of Planning and Community Development; Todd Pound, City Solicitor. No other individuals in attendance, and the council instructed the City Manager to proceed with an annexation survey.
Is there a second? Councilmember Pope has seconded. Is there any discussion? If there's no discussion, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Fritz.
Aye.
Councilmember Niesel.
Yes.
Councilmember McKinney.
Yes.
Councilmember Pompey.
Yes.
Councilmember Pope.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Weaver.
Yes.
Mayor Jordan.
Yes, that motion carries.
Okay. In accordance with the General Provisions Article, Section 306C2 of the Annotated Code of the Public General Laws of Maryland, I move that the minutes of tonight's meeting reflect that council met in closed session on Monday, March 9th, 2026 at 9:46 p.m. in the council chambers. Council held this closed meeting in accordance with Section 3-305 1, 7, and 8 of the General Provisions Article of the Annotated Code of the Public General Laws of Maryland. 1, to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom it has jurisdiction, or any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals. And 2, to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice on a legal matter. 3, to consult with staff, consultants, or other individuals about pending or potential litigation. Voting to close the session: Councilmember Fritz, yes. Councilmember Niesel, yes. Councilmember McKinney, yes. Councilmember Pompey, yes. Councilmember Pope, yes. Mayor Pro Tem Weaver, yes. Mayor Jordan, yes. Staff members present: Josue Samaron, City Manager; Dwayne Martinez, Human Resources Director; and Jason Deloach, City Solicitor. No other individuals in attendance. The action taken was to direct the City Manager to explore further legal options.
Is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Pompey, I'll take your second. If there's no discussion, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Fritz.
Aye.
Councilmember Niesel.
Yes.
Councilmember McKinney. Councilmember Pompey.
Yes.
Councilmember Pope.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Weaver.
Yes.
Mayor Jordan.
Yes, that motion carries.
Okay, and one more. In accordance with the General Provisions Article, Section 306C2 of the Annotated Code of the Public General Laws of Maryland, I move that the minutes of tonight's meeting reflect that council met in closed session on Wednesday, March 11th, 2026 at 9:17 p.m. via Zoom. Council held this closed meeting in accordance with Section 3-305B 1, 7, and 8 of the General Provisions Article of the Annotated Code of the Public General Laws of Maryland. 1, to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom it has jurisdiction, or any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals. 2, to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice on a legal matter. And 3, to consult with staff, consultants, or other individuals about pending or potential litigation. The purpose of this meeting was to discuss personnel matters and appointments to advisory boards and committees. Voting to close the session: Councilmember Fritz, yes. Councilmember Niesel, yes. Councilmember McKinney, yes. Councilmember Pompey, yes. Councilmember Pope, yes. Mayor Pro Tem Weaver, yes. Mayor Jordan, yes. Staff members present: Josue Samaron, City Manager, until 10:34, and Dwayne Martinez, Director of Human Resources, until 10:33. No other individuals in attendance. The actions taken: we agreed to move forward with new appointments for vacancies pending completion of final requirements by applicants, and agreed to move forward with most reappointments. 2 will be held pending needed clarifications.
Is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Niesel has seconded. If there's no discussion, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Fritz.
We.
Councilmember Niesel.
Yes.
Councilmember McKinney.
Yes.
Councilmember Pompey.
Yes.
Councilmember Pope.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Weaver.
Yes.
Mayor Jordan.
Yes, that motion carries. Thank you so much. And that's going to bring us to administrative reports. City Manager Samaron, do you have any updates for us?
I do, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. It's been a busy week with the budget, but we still did several other things. We had a wonderful ribbon cutting ceremony at the Panda Express. So thank you all for coming. Thank you, Councilmember McKinney, for doing the welcoming remarks. We also had the ceremony, the graduation ceremony for Earn to Learn. So thank you all for being there. It was wonderful to hear all the stories and see what our youth are up to. The chiller project continues. We've had last week we had some work done. Today they were dropping off the chiller and the parking lot was closed, so that project is moving. Well, the team has asked me to share that the annual egg hunt will take place Saturday, April 4th at 10 a.m. And then upcoming this Saturday, we'll have a food distribution being hosted by Coach K. I understand he circulated a flyer, so we'll be out there supporting that in the upcoming week. And now our report has been submitted. I welcome any questions you may have on our report.
Thank you. Councilmember Fritz.
Yes. Did you try the dynamite chicken at the Panda Express, and did it live up to the name?
It was spicy, yes. I would say it was really good. Of the three things I've had, that's probably my favorite.
Wait, an endorsement.
I've only had three things, so I'm going to make my way through the menu.
Councilmember Pompey.
Just letting folks know that the egg hunt takes place from approximately 10 a.m. to like 10:02 a.m. So make sure you get there if you want to hunt for eggs. You got to get there right at 10 a.m.
Want to say the date too?
I think he said it was April 4th.
You did. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear that. I'm
That's
sorry.
going to be in Buddy Attic Park. Okay.
Concentrating on the water egg hunt because I was just sharing that today.
Member Tim.
So the EV chargers by the library, I know the main chargers had been installed. How close are we to getting those operational?
Our target date to turn them on is no later than June 30th because we need to have them on so that we can claim the tax credit, the 6% tax credit on the installation. So that is the must deliver date. The team, I just received an email today. We're trying to coordinate the excavation and the trenching across the driveway. That is the critical path. We need to make sure to line up DPI or our third-party inspector and PEPCO inspectors all at the same time so that the team can excavate in one day, pour the concrete, inspect, and then put steel plates on top of the driveway. So we're going to do that work overnight. We're trying to coordinate those folks for next week, where the team is actively looking for any open windows we can get all those three folks. It's not our contractor. It's not the excavation team. It's really lining up those three other entities. When we broke ground 2 weeks ago, we're looking at a 3 to 4 week period to get those entities lined up at the same time. And I need to get through that email today to see if we can work it out next week. But I'm hopeful that next week or first week of April, we will have that work. And that's the hardest part, really, the excavation. The chargers are already installed. The conduit for the stations themselves is in. We just need that final excavation. And then PEPCO themselves, they want to pull the line that connects the transformer to the circuit, the breaker box. And, I want to point out that it was not our design to make that breaker box so massive. I think it's oversized. At the time that it was designed, we were considering the construction drawings are include a level 3, but we had to remove the level 3 charging station because the primary line at the pole cannot support the 408 voltage that we need for a level 3. So we had to settle for 8 level 2 charging stations. In short, in 2 to 3 weeks, we'll have that excavation work.
Okay, and that would actually close the parking lot for half a day or a day?
We're going to do it after hours.
After hours.
We're working. It's going to be an inconvenience for surrounding neighbors, but it is our best option because both the library and community center is heavily used up until 9 p.m. and the excavation does put the parking lot offline. So we're going to do that work after hours. Is going to cost us additional money, but it's better to do it after hours than to close down the parking lot because there's only one way into that parking lot. The secondary path to get to the youth center and the fields is coming in from the school, from the elementary school by the volleyball courts, but we don't want vehicles going that way. There's too many pedestrians. The other path is the access road next to the pool. Again, there's a lot of children that walk through those spaces, so we want to keep vehicles off. So while we have two other points of entry, we rather do the work after hours and minimize the risk to our facility users.
Definitely. Yeah, there's not enough room to get a car past the skate park and the youth center. Not that that's what you were suggesting, but there's not enough space.
You know, for the public works folks, there is the trash truck runs through there, but these are professional drivers, and you know, I've done it myself, you know, but but we wouldn't open it to the public. We're too concerned that somebody will hit the rain barrel or the skate park.
Okay, thank you for that update. Let's go ahead and move to the next section of the agenda, which is legislation. And the first item is a resolution to repeal and reenact with amendment resolution 2109 to adopt standing rules for the City Council, Maryland. This would be for first reading. So would someone like to introduce this? For first reading, we generally, we don't really discuss an item. It comes up at the second reading, and there's opportunity for deeper discussion.
So I would like to move for first reading a resolution to repeal and reenact with amendments, resolution number 2109 to adopt the revised standing rules for the Council of the City of Greenbelt, Maryland.
Okay, and that doesn't need a second either, so that'll come up at a subsequent meeting very soon. And that's going to bring us to item number 11, which is a resolution for Transgender Day of Recognition on March 31st. Councilmember Pompey, you had proposed this, and it's a resolution for first reading, suspension of the rules, and a second reading for adoption. Councilmember Pompey.
Yes, for first reading and suspension of the rules, a resolution recognizing March 31st as Transgender Day of Visibility.
Is there a second?
Second.
So wait, hold on. Okay, for suspension of the rules, this will require 6 votes. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Fritz?
Yes.
Councilmember Niesel?
Yes.
Councilmember McKinney?
Yes.
Councilmember Pompey?
Yes.
Councilmember Pope? Mayor Pro Tem Weaver?
Yes.
Mayor Jordan?
Yes. Okay, Councilmember Pompey, would you like to introduce this for second reading?
Yes, for second reading and adoption, a resolution recognizing March 31st as Transgender Day of Visibility in the City of Greenbelt. Whereas the City of Greenbelt is committed to fostering an inclusive, equitable, and welcoming community for all residents, regardless of gender identity or expression. And whereas Transgender Day of Visibility, observed annually on March 31st, celebrates the lives, contributions, and resilience of transgender and gender nonconforming people while raising awareness of the discrimination and challenges they continue to face. And whereas transgender individuals are valued members of the Greenbelt community who contribute to the cultural, civic, and economic vitality of the city. And whereas despite progress towards equality, transgender people continue to experience disproportionately high rates of discrimination, violence, and barriers to healthcare, employment, and housing. And whereas the City of Greenbelt affirms its support for policies and practices that protect the rights, dignity, and safety of transgender and gender nonconforming individuals. And whereas recognizing Transgender Day of Visibility promotes education, understanding, and respect, and helps build a more inclusive and supportive community for all residents. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City of Greenbelt, Maryland, hereby recognizes March 31st, 2026 as Transgender Day of Visibility in the City of Greenbelt, and be it further resolved that the City Council encourages all residents to join in acknowledging the contributions of transgender individuals to stand against discrimination and to work toward a community in which all people are treated with dignity and respect.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Fritz is seconded. Is there any discussion? Yes, Councilmember Fritz.
I just want to say that as long as there has been gender, there's been people who have fought against that kind of being boxed into a binary, and that, you know, gender nonconforming people have always been with us, and their stories aren't always told. But here in Greenbelt, I'm glad that we are taking the step to celebrate those stories so that most importantly, our trans neighbors can feel welcome and included and know that this is a community that supports them. So thank you to my colleagues in advance for supporting this measure, and to all of our trans siblings in our community and beyond. You are loved, and it's just very important that we reject any ideology in our society that wants to scapegoat a small minority of people for our problems. Trans people have made immense contributions, and we honor that here in Greenbelt. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Councilmember Pompey?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Councilmember Fritz for his comments, and also to thank Greenbelt resident and recent CRAB appointee Charlotte Hoffman for bringing to our attention that the 31st is Transgender Day of Visibility, and trans people are particularly under attack right now under this current administration. Their very existence is under attack, and I think it's just really important that we as a community stand up and say, here in Greenbelt, we love and respect and embrace everybody, and I'm really proud of us for recognizing this day.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Fritz?
Yes.
Councilmember Niesel?
Yes.
Councilmember McKinney?
Yes.
Councilmember Pompey?
Yes.
Councilmember Pope? Mayor Pro Tem Weaver?
Yes.
Mayor Jordan?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you for introducing this. Yeah, Councilmember.
Ms. Hoffman is here in the audience. I don't know if she would like to get up and say anything. You don't have to, but I want to give you the opportunity if you'd like to.
Thank you so much. And I was not aware I was going to speak, so forgive me for not having anything planned out in advance. But as Councilmember Pompey said, the trans community is absolutely under immense attack at this moment in time. We have seen over the past 18 months just a unprecedented level of attack from the Trump administration that is targeted not just on trans people, also on immigrants, but we are kind of like the second least popular group that he's attacking at the moment. And we're seeing this extend to some of the areas around us. So, there have been more anti-trans bills in the Maryland legislature this year than I've ever had to deal with in the almost decade that I've been spending time in Annapolis. They've all failed, fortunately, but they're things that we've had to go and put in our time and energy and effort to kill. And what's been very disappointing is seeing so many of our legislators and supposed allies take the opportunity of just leaving the room when votes are happening, or not asking questions when we have trans people up to talk about our experiences, and then talking about us then as soon as they're in a closed session, or other things along these lines. It's been a very frustrating legislative session. And today's crossover day, so I had the joy today of watching a bill that I drafted 6 years ago, that I've been fighting to get through the Maryland legislature, to make the process of amending your gender marker on your birth certificate easier. I had the joy of watching this be amended on the Senate floor to include an amendment that would start tracking in a government database everyone who had changed their gender marker in Maryland. So I went from, in the course of 30 seconds, from rejoicing that a bill that I've been working on for 6 years was finally going to pass, to knowing that I was going to have to kill this, because we can't have the state of Maryland collecting a list of all the trans people in the state that can then be subpoenaed by the federal government. So it's been a very frustrating day for me, and this is a very delightful end to it. So thank you so much. And I will repeat something that I said last year when I was speaking at Trans Day of Visibility in Baltimore, which is sometimes it feels like we're a little too visible, but I really do appreciate when the visibility is from friends. So thank you. And it's
Thank
sorry
you
for
very
the
much. Thank
rant.
you.
I wasn't really.
Okay, that's going to take us to item number 12, which is an authorization for the city manager to approve a contract with VMP. Included in the council packet is a memorandum outlining the request and proposal for approval. Staff recommends council authorize the city manager to execute a purchase of roadworks improvements at Cherry Hill Lane to VMP Company, Incorporated at 9635 Annapolis Road, Lanham, Maryland 20706, for a total project cost of $226,394 to be funded from a reimbursable community development block grant funding. So, Mr. City Manager, this community development block grant funding is guided by clear income targeting principles based on the census tract. So, for any CBDG funding, at least 51% of the people benefiting have to be in a census tract, which is low to moderate income, and I believe 70% of the project has to actually benefit these individuals. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mr. Mayor. And I would add that in addition to those requirements, CDBG funding also required that an effort be made that the individuals working on the project are from the area, and there's a specific radius that our contractor must have employees from and recruit from. So that's in addition to the requirements you outlined. In brief, you covered the project well, Mr. Mayor. This is to resurface 1,285.882 linear feet of road resurfacing. This is 100% grant funded through the CDBG funding program, totaling $226,394.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
I was just going to get a motion on the table. I move that we authorize the city manager to execute the purchase of roadworks improvements at Cherrywood Lane to VMP Co. Inc. For a total project cost of $226,394 to be funded from a reimbursable CDBG grant.
Second.
Okay, Councilmember Pompey has seconded. If there's no additional discussion, let's go ahead.
No,
Please, Councilmember Fritz.
Yeah. I had received an email from a constituent about this particular stretch because there's only bus service going one way for this particular stretch. It's going as you're coming away from the metro. Yes, as you're coming away from metro on Cherrywood. So if you wanted to go towards the metro from this point, you actually there's no stop on the other side. There's no sidewalk on the other side. I don't know if there's any way to incorporate that into this project, or at least make WMATA aware that there will be walking infrastructure on the other side, so that people don't need to walk almost, I think, more than half a mile to get to the nearest stop, going inbound or going outbound versus going the inbound ones that are available. So, and I do know that there are, you can see on the map that there is a bus stop at Cherrywood Court, but you can see there's not one on the other side. I don't know if that's part of a consideration, but once there is a sidewalk, I presume it would be easier for them to also install a stop as well.
There is one. It's further north. It's cut off from this.
Oh, is it?
There is.
But it's not. This one connect to it though. This is the one by the yeah. So there's actually several as you're going up. As you're going towards the metro, there's several on the other side, on that side. But when you're coming away from the metro, yeah, there's. So if you're going outbound from the metro and you live in Franklin Park, you have fewer stops to get out, but you have more stops to get back. So longer term, just creating parity on inbound and outbound traffic, I think, would be helpful.
This that's actually addressed in the Cherrywood Lane Complete Street outline or project. It's there are raised bus pads and pedestrian places where folks can stand and wait for the bus in such a way that it does not obstruct the bike path at the same time. It's a detailed proposal. I wish we had funding to move forward. Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, and this is, I'm sorry I didn't get a report written up related to this, but this actually at the Transportation Planning Board meeting last week, part of the Transportation Resilience Improvement Plan project list, the Cherrywood Lane Complete and Green Streets retrofit project is proposed to be added to that list. We haven't formally taken action on that with TPB yet, but it was on the list to be added to there's currently 41 projects on the list. Addressing a lot of different resilience factors, and Cherrywood Lane is one to propose to be added. The benefit to that is there's a reduced local match requirement if some of this is funding from, it's a federal Protect grant, which I think is on hold right now, so it doesn't necessarily help us right now, and it's not actual funding yet, but it is helpful to us to have it on this TRIP list, and I'm just didn't get a report written up for that, but it was relevant to this. I was going to ask, are there any aspects, because I think we already have that plan written out, are there any aspects of the Complete and Green Streets projects that we can do as we're doing this resurfacing, or is it not, or is this strictly going to be like replacing the surface?
The challenge is really the funding. The funding available is 226,000, so that limits a lot of what we can do. So we're trying to maximize the most road surface that we can do the resurfacing on. There are things we can do in-house, which is the striping and painting, but things like a sidewalk on the other side, they require easement, require engineering, putting in a medium. Those dividers, that's additional engineering and capital expense. But if it involves a street marking, we can do it. Anything more physical installation than that, we would have some challenges with the current funding for it.
It's not, I mean, it's surprising how much this stuff, that like concrete and roadways and things cost. And I believe there was a water main break that I believe you said has been fixed right there at Breezewood and Cherrywood Lane, that has been fixed.
Correct. That has been fixed. The team, the team B and WSSC, when their initial assessment, they thought it was the full main would need to be cut and repaired, and that made it troublesome because it serves the entire Franklin Park complex. So that planning around that water shutoff will be a lot more complicated. However, they determined they when they started breaking up to do further assessment, they found that it was a valve.
Oh, that's
so,
good.
Yes, so we're relieved that it's a valve. It has been fixed, so we can. This is why this thing is this contract's on the agenda, because the valve has been repaired. We can move forward with it and resurface.
Okay, thank you. If there's no further discussion, let's go ahead and take a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the measure passes. If you think it would be helpful to send a letter from the city urging the TPB to include the Cherrywood Complete Street project in the 41 projects, by all means, let's send a letter.
I don't know that it's necessary to send a letter. I think it has been added, proposed to the list, and I expect it to, it's just they were introducing the list at this meeting in March, and it will be for approval in April, but I didn't see, there did not seem to be any objection to adding our project to the list. So I don't think we need to send a letter in the report. I can express appreciation when it gets added or talk to it at the meeting next month, but it doesn't seem controversial to add it to the list. Again, there's not actually funding attached. It just means we have less of a local match required for other funding sources.
By all means, let's make sure that that's in there. That would bring us to item number 13, and that's legislative review. And I was saying at the beginning of the meeting, trying to expedite the agenda. We have a work session coming up on Wednesday on legislative items. I'm wondering if there are no items that require action at tonight's meeting, can we continue the discussion on Wednesday?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And if anyone does have any specific questions, if you want to tell Mr. Samarone and Mr. George what those are to add to a list, I think that's great. But I don't think we really need to go deeply into discussion about this tonight.
Okay. Yes, Mayor Pro Tem?
There was one that has come up recently that we haven't taken any action on yet, and that was the Senate Bill 1005, which is the some changes to the planning board, and so I wonder if that is something that I know I think Ms. Pompey looked it up, and there's a hearing later this week. I don't know that there's going to be time to submit testimony, but it seems like there are some concerns with that, both the cost to the county and I think that what its purpose and is this the right thing to do? So I do wonder if we should get a vote on the record of, we may not know exactly what action we want to take, but so I guess I would move to get on the record that we have concerns about Senate Bill 1005, with the caveat that we don't know whether that should be a letter or testimony or something yet, but just get on the record that we have concerns about that bill.
Yeah, I suppose so. I need a little more information, the fiscal note, what the cost would be, and just, one of our residents, Beth Novik, sent an email and CC'd some council members on with some pointed questions about how the structure might be changed, what the costs would be, really good questions. So I would really need a little more information.
Well, I guess my
In order
proposal
to
is
take a position, so I think if your proposal is to to monitor.
No, my proposal is to be on the record that we have concerns, that we don't have enough information, we don't have a fiscal note. I think Ms. Pompey looked it up, and there is not a fiscal note available, that it's also been a very rushed process. So I guess my proposal would be that we vote to, in a manner appropriate, express our concerns about the lack of a fiscal note and the rushed process for moving this forward.
Is that a motion?
Yes, that is a motion.
Oh, yeah, I'll second that motion. Let's, if there's no further discussion. Yeah,
Mr.
please go ahead.
Summeron, do you want to share with council and about a little bit more about that bill?
Yes, very briefly, the bill does separate some of the functions of the Bi-County Commission, particularly the administrative functions. So the bill will authorize each commission, being the Prince George's Commission and the Montgomery County Commission, to hire their own legal counsel. So that's the lawyer that advises on the procedure aspects of land use authority. An HR function, that's the human resource function that oversees staff for the commission, and the IT function. So they're looking to create separate units for those functions. I think, Mr. Mayor, you said it well, the same questions that were raised in that email are the questions that generally folks are asking. What does this mean for the taxpayers? If you're duplicating HR, duplicating legal counsel in IT, just on the surface, that sounds like more personnel expense. How does that tie in with other goals that the commission and the county executive and county council has signaled? Council is on record supporting the task force for the county to explore other ways of improving the permitting process and land use authority process. So how does this action fit into what other things the county is working on?
It's complicated. I know very well that the planning board does have its own attorney, and I thought that he actually worked with Maryland National Capital Park and Planning.
It's a shared
yeah,
resource.
Council. So we've got a motion. Yes, please.
Also, just for everyone's information, the Montgomery County delegation is opposed to this. So this is certainly, not that's not something that they are in support of. And part of the issue is, of course, this lack of fiscal note. If it's going to cost money, but how much, right? We don't know. Probably millions.
Yes.
So anyway, that's it.
Okay. Before we vote, is anybody online with questions? Mr. Orleans, you had a question, a comment? Please step to the microphone, sir.
Thank you. I had read that there was opposition from Montgomery County. I have not been able to read why there's a difference of opinion between Montgomery and Prince George's. I'm interested in learning more about it, but my question was essentially addressed by Ms. Pompey. Montgomery is opposed to it. I think before council votes, it should find out the merits in Montgomery County's argument versus Prince George's County's argument.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It's kind of what I asked. So let's go ahead and take a vote. All in favor of being prepared to send correspondence or testify, noting our concern with the proposal and the lack of information Am I stating that?
Yeah, the concern with the lack of a fiscal note and not understanding the cost, as well as the rushed process for putting this bill forward.
Okay, and you're comfortable with that, the second? Okay, let's go ahead and take a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. And we'll find out more, hopefully, from our legislative contractor, Mr. Carrington, may be able to provide some additional information beyond what we have right now. So next up is item number 14, and that is discussion on state budget, legislative bond bills, and grant opportunities in relation to capital projects. So staff is pursuing funding opportunities, not all grants, or maybe they are all grants, by way of the state budget, including requests submitted through the Budget Reconciliation Financing Act, legislative bond bill initiatives, and the federal congressionally directed spending funding opportunities, earmarks. So, as a part of the state budget process, the city recently became aware of an opportunity to submit two requests through that Budget Reconciliation and Financing Act, the BRFA, and there's a time constraint associated with the opportunity. So there were two proposals. Staff recommended Greenbelt Community Center Elevator 2 replacement modernization and Greenbelt Museum renovation project. In addition, with the bond bills, the city has put forward the Buddy Attic Park Path and Performance Venue proposal and Shrum Hills Park Soccer Field lighting project. And then with the congressionally directed spending funds earmarks, there were three proposals: the Cemetery Master Plan Implementation Project, the Indian Creek Community Park and Garden Project, and the Buddy Attic Park Improvements Amphitheater and Dock Project. So this is an opportunity for council to review these funding efforts in the context of the city's broader capital improvement priorities, assess alignment with council goals, and provide direction on prioritization and future grant-seeking strategies. Included are the survey results on budget prioritization and unfunded capital projects. There are other grant proposals that are out there that the city has submitted that are quite substantial. Do any of those also have an impact on unfunded capital projects?
Yes, some of those are not included in your prioritization list because they are less essential to the physical infrastructure of facilities. So, for example, the solar roof at Greenridge House. It's a sustainability goal that we reduce the electricity, it will offset electricity consumption. But if we don't get the funding, there's nothing going to happen to the facility. It will just continue as it is, right? Many of the other projects you see, there's some infrastructure priority there. It's something that we need to replace or something that is partially funded and needs to move forward. So there are some grants that we're seeking that are not part of the unfunded capital needs because they're just not as pressing.
Yeah, and with an aggressive grant-seeking program that the city now has, there are opportunities that come up, and staff makes determinations about the priority and the timing. Sometimes there's a deadline coming up, and got to get something in. So council has not necessarily prioritized all of the funding opportunities, large funding opportunities that the city is currently pursuing.
That's correct, Mr. Mayor. We're trying to take advantage of every opportunity that's out there that fits nicely into our strategy. We've had some success with things that, including opportunities that have been brought forward by council members. The most recent was the PEPCO Sustainability Grant. Councilmember McKinney had an idea for a project for food recovery, and we chased that opportunity, I think, in a matter of 2-3 weeks, and we secured that funding, and now we have a trailer with cold storage that is being outfitted for food recovery. So yeah, so things like that would not be something that's prioritized with council because it doesn't fix a current problem. Well, not least an issue that is in infrastructure, but it's a new program activity. And we will continue to pursue all opportunities that fit into our strategy, which is why it's important that we get the feedback from council on some of these capital projects because we can confidently pursue opportunities. One that I've included in the administrative report that we did not get to discuss is the survey results of the community questionnaire regarding the armory. That's something that, from a budget perspective, we have not budget any new activities for the armory. We just have basic maintenance expense for the armory, and we welcome council's direction on what do you want to do with the armory? What's the next step for us? Um, so that's just an example of one, and there's numerous others. The EV stations will be something that we would have to eventually develop its own program. We'll have 8 stations at the community center and library, and we have funding to install other stations at Buddy Attic. And at that point, we now have a little enterprise of EV charging stations that would have substantial revenues and expenses, and they'll require, I think, at some point their own department to coordinate. In the future, we see owning our own streetlights. We'll have to manage streetlight outages and adjusting the light and all those things.
Contractor.
Or a contractor, right.
Mayor Pro Tem, did you have a motion, or were you going to?
No, I don't think this is a, I don't think there's anything we want to move. I think this is just a discussion item. I guess one thing, I think it's really helpful to have this list and like which the things we've submitted for and what we've gotten money for already, because I think that part of, for example, this additional money for the museum renovation project is because we would lose our pre-existing bond. And so I guess what I'm thinking about more of this is helpful, but I wonder if we can think about a nice way to present this, because a lot of these are projects that our residents really care about. And it would be really helpful to be able to present that in a way that sort of lists the money we've applied, lists the money we've already gotten, the money we've applied for, sort of a status thing. And if we can, in some, when it, like that nice graphic of the money flowing in and money flowing out, although not exactly that. I just think these are things that our residents, that matter to our residents, a lot of these things, and having an easy way that they can see updates on that. And as we get grants, because for example, we talked about this earlier, but the 1.5 million that we're looking for from Project Open Space, because we don't need it for the youth center roof anymore, we're trying to repurpose that for the Spring Hill Lake Rec Center expansion. And I think, again, if we can, because I think sometimes our residents see one little piece of it and they see, but they don't see the whole view. And if it would just be nice to be able to have that presented in a way that is easily updated and someplace we can direct residents. Oh, you want to know where we are in these projects? Go to this page on the website, and it has an update. It's kind of like what we did with all the ARPA money, actually, all the ARPA projects that sort of had the progress reports. So that's just the comment. My question is, are the Buddy Attic Park Path and Performance Venue and the Buddy Attic Park Improvements, Amphitheater and Dock Project, are those both sort of the same? I know sometimes we ask for money from 2 places, just not sure we'll get it. We probably won't get it from both. Is that intended to be the same project?
No, there are different elements that are being funded. And do you want to jump in? Or? Okay, there's different elements. The priority will be to get that ADA accessible path, because we've started the path to the our inclusive playground, and that's all ADA. The pavilions are not ADA accessible, and so we want to connect at least that one pavilion closest to our inclusive playground, and then build out the path towards the pavilion. So at least those portions are accessible. Certainly not the pavilion, the stage. The stage also needs work. We understand that once we start working on it, people are going to have opinions of what it should look like, but that shouldn't stop us from continuing the work. I want to reflect on the commentary that you made about us pursuing multiple sources for the same funding. And that's just sort of what we have to do, because we just have no guarantee that we're going to get funding, right? Like in an ideal world, we have got this 1.8 million and we got 1.5 for program open space. I would love for the 1.5 to go to Spring Hill Lake expansion and other money. So if we would have gotten both projects funded separately, that would have been great. But oftentimes we find ourselves having to pursue multiple sources for the same thing because there's no
No guarantee.
there's no guaranteed. And
Yeah.
I think that Tim and I were dreaming about what the ideal scenario, and we thought, oh, we'll get a matching fund for the youth center roof that will cover our 10% match for the program open space and a little money to get the solar roof project going, because if we get that grant money, that's also going to require a match. So that was the dream. We did not expect to get 1.5 million for the youth center roof. So, so we find ourselves having to pursue multiple sources because we need to get these projects completed at the risk of getting funding multiple places, which I think in this case was a good problem to have.
Councilmember Pompey.
Yes, and looking over these requests, something that I really would like to see is more equitable spending across the city. The majority of these programs are here for Center City. We're spending very little money in Greenbelt West and Greenbelt East through these funding opportunities. I was also very disappointed that the BRFA funding requests were not something that was put on the agenda, because while it was time sensitive, there was time to have that put on the agenda so that council could have actually discussed where we wanted to prioritize that money. And I really regret that we did not have that opportunity. And I don't think that that's the way we should be operating. I think when we have funding opportunities and when we have time to discuss them publicly, that's what we should be doing. Because my preference would not have been, my personal preference would not have been to fund these two projects in City Center. I would have funded our other priorities in other parts of the city. That's what I would have wanted to fund, because we did just get this $1.8 million, but only $250,000 of that is going to Spring Hill Lake Rec Center, you know? So I just want to see us being very intentional about making sure that these funds are spread across the city and that some people are not being left out.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Ms. Pope?
Yeah, I somewhat agree with Councilmember Pompey, but I also think that we a lot of times don't show what we're spending, where we're spending, and what we're doing, what kind of projects we're doing in different parts of the city. And I think we just need to do a better job of showing, all the things that we're doing, and what money was involved and what project it was. So maybe we can start, broadcasting that a little bit too.
Well, I for one, I would like to see a more comprehensive list. None of these funding proposals are a sure thing by any stretch of the imagination. And I know that our grant office and through the administration, we are seeking a lot of funding, and somehow I'd like to get a look at a larger list, because I know that it's out there, just to have a sense of the distribution of funding. So we've put a lot of money into Greenbelt West. Beyond the $250,000, we just renovated the playground. We redid the basketball courts. We painted the front desk and the gymnasium. We put in new doors. We're talking about the Indian Creek Trail proposal, planting charrettes, and, in Greenbelt Station, important amenities, shade amenities and programming. And that's all above and beyond the Greenbelt Station Metro access path, whatever we're calling that. So it's important that funding go throughout the city and that our priorities are balanced. Any further? Yeah, please. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I just want to say, all of that given, there's still not a balance. Like, we did all these, I agree, we did, all of those things were great that we did in Greenbelt West, but we still are spending more money here in Center. Like, it's still not even. So I think that it's important that we acknowledge that, and that we need to do better, and that we need to make sure that we are being very intentional when we're requesting this money, that we are prioritizing all parts of the city. Don't want to update. And I think that that's very clear and obvious when you look at our budget and when you look at this list of things that we have submitted for. So.
Yeah, I would like to add, I think one of the things that we don't often talk about when we are looking at budget spending and what grants we're going after is when we look at the population distribution across our city, right? So if you look at how much of our population is in each part of the city, our our priorities should represent also the distribution of where our residents are. And so I think often, um, when you look at East and West, that's probably a larger part of our population than we have in the center of town. So beyond the fact of, are we spending more in the city center, we also have to make sure that we're supporting the larger part of our population that we don't often do. And those parts of the city continue to grow pretty exponentially. So.
Well, thank you. Mr. Hartman, you have a question or comment?
Michael Hartman, 2 Court Garden Way. I appreciate what Councilmember Pompey has said. And I think that one of the issues, as Councilmember McKinney also said, was that some of the money that is spent are more cosmetic than practical and changing actual opportunities. The city manager also mentioned that some of the grants are that same thing, that if you don't get the grant, then nothing really changes except whatever you wanted to add isn't added. But it isn't something that it will make a practical difference. And I think that looking at the amount of money that we spend in each part of the city also depends on what you're spending the money for, and whether that is actual making lives better for residents across the city. But putting new doors on the rec center is nice, but it doesn't improve the lives of people who live in Franklin Park. So I think those considerations have to be made as well. Again, not only how much you're spending, but what you're spending it on in each part of the city, and how it affects the people who live there, or businesses that operate there too.
Mr. Orleans, and
Thank you. I do not necessarily support what Councilmember Pompey said, although I agree in spirit that there are things lacking in West, certainly in East, that are available in Center City. I think it borders on criminality, colloquially speaking, what Greenbelt Council has done or not done in Greenbelt West going back 20 years. We should never forget, however, we often praise ourselves for being descendants of those people, including Franklin and Eleanor Roosevelt, who founded and constructed, with mistakes having been made, the city of Greenbelt. When people talk about New York City or Detroit or Washington, D.C. or Baltimore and the ramifications of decline in inner city, our inner city is Center City, Greenbelt. It's Old Town, downtown. This is where the municipal center is. This is where the community center is. This is where the youth center is. Effectively, this is where the police department is. Allocating money throughout Greenbelt as a matter of fairness is an important thing to do. But the fundamental budgetary needs are the older buildings in older Greenbelt. Having said that, I do certainly agree that we should spend more money in Greenbelt West. And for example, it is a crime that there's no ball field in Greenbelt West.
okay, are there any other comments or any discussion? I have heard from residents in Greenbelt East. They are concerned about how the city is setting priorities, and the same discussion about equity and distribution of funding across the city exists throughout the city, in the East as well as the West. And somehow the East is overlooked a bit. Maybe the voices aren't as loud, but that equity piece is very important. If we could, if there's no further discussion, perhaps we can move on to item number 15, which is the discussion of and there's some revisions to the planning framework that Council Member McKinney has put together. It's very, very well done. And in the past week, there have been some additions. Councilmember Pompey and Mayor Pro Tem Weaver. Um, I think that the framework is excellent. I don't know how you want to present this or talk about it, but I have not had an opportunity to weigh in. I think there's some other council members that may or may not want to, but it's a great start. It's really an excellent framework.
I think for today's discussion, it's just to raise it for awareness, additional questions about the goals of this document. So we did a planning framework 2 years ago, which helped to guide the priorities and the issues that council would raise in agendas and in work sessions, as well as guide priorities in the budget process. And this council framework aims to do the same thing. In this framework is basically a summary of things that were discussed at the council planning retreat, as well as feedback that council members received over the course of several months, either at events, activities, during the campaign season. And so what I want to make sure residents understand is that even though it says the city council planning framework, this is really a combination of information that we have received from residents. And our goal is to put together a framework that represents the priorities of our residents. And so my hope is that council members, as Mayor mentioned, I'd received feedback from Mayor Pro Tem and Council Member Pompey, but I just ask other council members to take a look to make sure I have not missed anything, that I have summarized everything that everyone has heard, so that we can come back, make any other red line adjustments, and then hopefully sign off on this prior to approving the budget, because the pillars will need to align with the pillars that Mr. Samarone has put into the budget book, and those goals as well. So we have a little bit of time, but I wanted to make sure council as well as residents see that, and that they can weigh in on that. If changes need to be made, we can get resident feedback, and then we can finalize that in a future council meeting.
I want to strongly express my appreciation. I think you've done an excellent job. What the city manager had put out, I guess, as a placeholder, more or less, these council outcome areas, they grew directly out of a community-wide town hall charrette planning process. Council didn't just come up with these. They actually grew directly out of the residents and what they'd said. So I think what you've put forward is continuing on that tradition. Hopefully, kind of build on that. Let's see. That would bring us to item number 16, which is the Story Walk project, which was initiated by the Prince George's County Memorial Library System. And we got a recommendation from PRAB, the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. When the library system put this forward, they put it forward as an American Rescue Plan proposal, as a project that moved forward. And it was a demonstration project, so it was not intended to be a permanent installation necessarily. So it's been more than a year, and PRAB took a look at the project and did some research, and they are recommending that we consider removing the Story Walk. I'd like to get a little more information. Mayor Pro Tem, what do you think?
Yeah, well, and I will say that PRAB did receive a presentation by somebody from the library at one of their meetings, but I think it would be helpful for us to have something written from the library in terms of, I mean, some of the things they talked about was the schedule at which they were replacing the books. And I think some of the challenges, because I think some of the things that Prab brought up and that came up in that conversation was some of the maintenance and the updates and things. But I think beyond that, the other action I think we should take tonight is just because we had Prab looked at this initially, but so did Crab and Ace. And so I think rather than taking direct action on their recommendation right now, I think we need to also bring those advisory boards back in to give their opinion. So I guess I would move that we refer the story walk to Crab and Ace, as well as seek out feedback, like a written report from the library, and get those reports back for further consideration before we make a decision about removing or keeping the story walk. So that would be my motion to make those referrals.
I second that.
I'd like to actually see a proposal from the if they want to continue on beyond the demonstration project. They should be give us a proposal of exactly how they want to move ahead. What about the Arts Advisory Board? Do you think they'd have an interest or a perspective on this?
We could also refer to them. I thought that they had looked at it before, but I think maybe they didn't. So I was just thinking of the advisory boards that we had weigh in when we were considering the project to begin with, but I don't feel strongly about one way or the other. I think it's not primarily, I mean, it's sort of an arts and culture type project. It's not necessarily, I think, intended to be, I mean, the books themselves, I guess, have some artistic quality to the illustrations and things, but Crab and Ace are, although I thought it was APB already, or AAB, I think it was Crab and Ace that initially made the recommendations.
Well, okay. The only suggestion, the additional suggestion would be that we make it the referral time bound. So if we could get the results back, what do you think, a month or 2 months? Or what?
I think it's going to take the advisory boards at least a couple of months, and we don't have any open work sessions to discuss it anyway. So it's March, so by the end of May, if we can ask them to have the reports by the end of May.
Okay, is that okay with you?
Yeah, I mean, they
as the
take a while. I
second?
mean,
Yeah.
they may take a break now as well during holidays. And so, yeah, end of May sounds good.
Okay, is there any further discussion? If not, let's go ahead and take a vote. All in favor of making the referral to the two advisory boards, say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. And finally, we've got item number 17, which is sending a proposal to send a letter to county council members requesting they maintain funding for the Chinese immersion program at the Greenbelt Middle School. Councilmember Pompey, you had requested this item be added to the agenda to discuss sending a letter. My thought before you kind of frame it is, there are several other programs that are impacted, immersion programs as well. I believe the Dora Kennedy French Immersion School, Roosevelt High School. Doesn't the elementary school, don't they have a Russian immersion program? No?
I don't believe that that's being impacted. The elementary school doesn't have a Russian immersion program, but they do have Russian classes. They have like a Russian class.
Right.
And I don't think that any of the full immersion schools are being impacted. It's only the schools that have immersion programs in them. In addition, like that, it's like a push-in program. So there's the elementary school locally that feeds into Greenbelt Middle is Paint Branch. And it feeds into, and I can't remember the names of the high schools that I don't know the French or the Chinese immersion high schools, but I believe there's 1 or 2 Chinese immersion high schools. So the program is being phased out. So kids currently in 7th and 8th grade will be able to, I believe, go on through high school, but that's going to be it for these programs. I guess the real concern here is that, programs are being cut while administrative costs are going up. So, we shouldn't be taking away from our children to increase in administrative costs, particularly immersion programs, which help overall academic success of children, which we need here. And I believe at Roosevelt, what they are removing is they're losing
Assistant principal.
an assistant principal. They're losing a guidance counselor, which truly I don't know how they're going to even function with one less guidance counselor. I mean, there are 2,500 students in that school, and there are 2 guidance counselors per grade level, and they each have like 300 kids or something. I mean, it's already, it's untenable for them to have to do that. And then the other thing they're removing is the summer bridge program, which is I think it's a 1-week program that just gets freshmen who are entering the science and tech program sort of onboarded into that program.
So, I mean, there's a lot of issues, and I'm thinking maybe we should write a broader area just addressing the general funding cuts and changes in how they are affecting our schools and schools in the county, as opposed to just focusing in. I mean, the Chinese immersion program's fantastic. But some of these other cuts that are proposed, and I should know this, I don't know it off the top of my head. What is the timing on the budget process? I think the county executive is still having listening sessions, or they're
Yeah,
coming up.
I don't know when they go to their final reading on that. They're still working on it.
And that's just the school budget?
This is just the school budget.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is just the school budget,
think
which
it's
is
a big
actually a
thing.
quite like which is the lion's share of our county budget. So, yeah.
Can we direct staff maybe to draft a broader, or like to perhaps make a motion that staff and council research and prepare a letter to send to the county council and the county executive, just expressing our views and perspective on the proposed budget and how it might impact the schools, families, and children who are attending the schools in Greenbelt. Is there a second?
Second.
Does
capture your intent more or less, Councilman?
Yeah, I mean, I really do want it to be focused on the Greenbelt schools because it's our job to advocate for those schools. So,
Let's include Magnolia as well. I didn't see what cuts were being proposed over there.
those are the two schools that are impacted here in Greenbelt.
So if there's no further discussion, let's go ahead and take a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? City Manager Summerone, do you have enough guidance on?
I think so. The general essence is don't touch your schools to maintain funding. Did I capture that well? Okay.
Yeah.
I would say the things that affect the students most directly. I would try to. I think the guidance counselors, some of these student-centered immersion programs, but the ones that are directly to the. I mean, not that all the money to the schools doesn't in some way benefit the students, but I think we can maybe be a little bit more subtle about how we phrase it.
Well, I mean, the assistant principals, Roosevelt is huge. I don't see how. Cutting out one of the assistant principals is a big deal. So
we will be a little more refined than what I just said. Yeah, I just made a comment to Tim about getting a school-based budget, seeing the budget for each school.
Yeah,
and
that would
getting
be
that
nice.
information. That will give us more insight because the budget snapshot just points out the $2.5 million that is being cut from language immersion programs. There are those cuts that we just don't see. The total cuts being made to the school system is $150 million spread through the entire school system.
If you were wondering how that budget gap got closed.
Right. That's the county is doing some celebration of closing a structural deficit, and that came about $150 million worth in cuts. That's a lot, man. You think of our budget is almost 42 million. That's more than three times the size of our city budget. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of cuts.
sources a lot of things that would affect our
The
young people
administration
in a direct
costs
way.
are just really increasing at the county level. So to see them really close their structural deficit by cutting money from schools is very disheartening.
But I think the school-based budget would be helpful. Yeah, well, thank you so much. That's going to bring us down to council reports, and council activities. Mayor Pro Tem, I didn't get a chance to fill out too much.
I put in there some in there that I know where I saw people, but I don't know that everybody got a chance to.
I added myself to the Panda Express. I went after work.
Okay.
I got out early, but the ribbon cutting was finished, but I did go and introduce myself and just welcomed them to the city, so.
Yeah, so if anybody sees any that you weren't on, we can update this later.
Just one thing, on Friday, I circulated an email. The National Park Service had a briefing on Friday, and they talked about some of the programs and things that would be coming up. And they actually had some good news aside from the concerns about the park police, which I articulated very clearly. They are actually working on doing some renovations to the picnic areas in Greenbelt Park, and they say that they'll have them finished by the summer coming up. So I'll write something up and get it in. That was on Friday.
Yeah, no, if things get added to this, then we can update this list before it goes into the official minutes.
Yeah, I have some things I need to add because I didn't put anything. How should I add them directly to this document, Mayor Pro Tem? or-
Why don't you add them to the spreadsheet, and then I'll update this, just so that it's only updated in one place, but,
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, for doing that. If there are no changes to meetings, I think that the next item on the agenda would be to go into a special meeting closed session. Mayor Pro Tem?
yeah, just, so Mr. Salmon who is it just gonna be you? Who else is joining us?
There'll be three of us. So Tim George, Dwayne Martinez, and myself.
Okay. So I move that council go into closed session in accordance with Section 3-305B1 and 8 of the General Provisions Article of the Annotated Code of the Public General Laws of Maryland to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom this public body has jurisdiction, any other personnel matter that that affects one or more specific individuals, and 2, to consult with staff, consultants, or other individuals about pending or potential litigation. The purpose of this meeting will be to discuss personnel matters, 1, to discuss personnel matters, and 2, to consult with staff, consultants, or other individuals about pending or potential litigation. In addition to council, City Manager Sal Moron, Assistant City Manager Tim George, and Director of Human Resources Dwayne Martinez will be in the meeting. Note that council will not return to open session following this closed session.
Is there a second? Okay. There's a discussion. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Fritz,
Yes.
Councilmember Niesel,
Yes.
Councilmember McKinney,
Yes.
Councilmember Pompey,
Yes.
Councilmember Pope,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Weaver,
Yes.
Mayor Jordan.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, the time is now
9:46.
9:46.
She's in the hallway.